What is up everyone, and welcome back to another video on my channel. And in today's video I'll be doing my round 4 AFL tips of the 2023 season, so let's get straight into it. Last week I did okay, I got 5 out of 9, at least I did better than the previous week. Bulldogs versus Brisbane, I got that wrong, I really should have tipped the Bulldogs. Collingwood versus Richmond, Collingwood won and I got that right. Hawthorn North, again in my tipping video I kept on saying Hawthorn are gonna win, but I still ended up tipping North, got that wrong. Giants versus Carlton, got that right, even though I reckon Giants should have won. St Kilda versus Essendon, got that right. Port Adelaide versus Adelaide, got that right. Gold Coast versus Geelong, backed in Geelong and got that wrong. Melbourne Sydney, got that wrong. And Freo West Coast, got that right. First game of round 4, Brisbane versus Collingwood at the Gabba. Again, a hard game to tip because I backed in Melbourne against Brisbane on their first home game and ended up getting that wrong, and now Brisbane are at home again. They are a good home team. However, Collingwood 3-0, they played pretty good against Richmond, probably could have kicked more goals, but it was wet conditions and they were very inaccurate. But I reckon Collingwood are the better team, and that's simply why I'm going to be tipping them, even though I wouldn't be surprised if Brisbane wins. So I'm going to say Collingwood will win this game by 13 points. And then moving on to Marvel Stadium, North Melbourne versus Carlton. I backed in North Melbourne last week and that was not a good tip in the end. They got done from Hawthorn. Travelling to Perth normally makes teams lose the next week, and that's exactly what happened to North. And Carlton were pretty good against Giants. They were very inaccurate. However, I feel like Giants could have ran on top of them if it wasn't for some free kicks that went in their favour and some 50-metre penalties. But again, they got the win and they got a close win, which they don't often do, so that will give them lots of confidence. I reckon Carlton are the better team and should win this game by around 29 points. And then Adelaide versus Fremantle. Geez, how good did Adelaide play in the showdown? They played very, very good. However, I don't know about this one because Adelaide tends to not match good against Fremantle, and I sort of have a feeling Fremantle will win. But because it's at Adelaide Oval and because of Adelaide's last win against Port Adelaide, it's hard to go past the Crows, and I reckon they'll win in a thriller by 7 points. And then Richmond versus the Bulldogs. I will be attending this game. Richmond were pretty disappointing against Collingwood. They did look very flat and just couldn't play the Richmond way, and they just couldn't get anything going really. It was wet conditions and they didn't look good at all. And the Bulldogs played pretty good against Brisbane. It was a very hard game to watch, to be honest. It was very scrappy, both teams just kicking it to each other. But Bulldogs were clearly the better team on the day and got the win. Because it's at the MCG, I do have a feeling Richmond will bounce back and get the win by 24 points. And then moving on to Marvel Stadium, St Kilda versus Gold Coast. Geez, Gold Coast played so good against Geelong. They will take so much confidence out of that. However, Geelong, are they really that good as what people are rating them? I don't think so. And St Kilda, geez, they played outstanding against Essendon on their 150th. So good on St Kilda, that was a good win. Even though I do reckon Gold Coast could win this game, I am going to go safe. And I'm going to say St Kilda will win this game by 16 points. And then moving on to the SCG, Sydney Swans versus Port Adelaide. Sydney were very disappointing against Melbourne. I kind of called it. I said Melbourne could catch us off guard as we haven't played a good team in a while, and it did. Lost by 50 points, probably should have been half of that margin, but we just gave up late. And we had some chances to come back, but we just missed way too many shots on goal, and it really cost us in the end, and the free kicks weren't really helping us. And Port Adelaide, very disappointing in the showdown. They did look flat in the second half, and Adelaide just simply ran away from it, and it wasn't good for Port Adelaide, and they're in some really bad form at the moment and really need to find a win. Even though Port Adelaide do match good against the Swans, and they've probably won the last 2 or 3 or something like that, I'm going to back in the Swans because it's at the SCG, and I reckon we are a good home team, and I reckon the Swans will win this game by 20 points. And then Essendon versus Giants at Marvel Stadium. Again, Giants were probably robbed against Carlton a bit with the free kicks. Essendon, they just really couldn't get their game flowing. St Kilda just were too good for too long. However, it's at Marvel Stadium. I reckon the Bombers will be too good and win this game by 25 points. And then moving on to Optus Stadium, West Coast versus Melbourne. Melbourne very good against Sydney, and West Coast, geez, you got to feel bad for them. They were in the game for 3 quarters and then their injuries just got out of hand. You got to feel for West Coast. It's at Optus Stadium. I reckon the Melbourne will be too strong and win this game by 37 points. And then the final game on the Easter Monday, Geelong versus Hawthorn. Geelong 0-3, Hawthorn 1-2 with a good win over North Melbourne. Geelong looked flat, slow, looks like they have no hunger to win games. I could see an upset happening here. I actually have a feeling Hawthorn are going to win. However, that will be a very bold prediction if I tipped Hawthorn. So I'm going to play it safe and tip Geelong. And I reckon they'll win this game by 27 points. And there you go, guys. Those are my round 4 predictions. Comment down below your predictions. I'd love to see them. But until next time, goodbye.